welcome to the Gossipy Podcast, we're a podcast for health professionals and the wider community. We'll explore diversities in health, ask some hard questions, and have some honest conversations. My name is Archie, I'm an EP based in cities on the beaches, and joining me as always is our health business owner, Andrew, who is still in the studio with Sara Woodroffe from Melbourne. We're about to jump straight back in, where Andrew is going to divert the conversation, and we are going to talk more about rebooking and some skills and communication for new EPs. Stay tuned to the end of this because Andrew has an all-time rant. Look forward to seeing you at the end. Bye.
Let's pivot. How's your beer going?
Beer is good.
Yeah?
It's still going. Are you ready for a new one though? Almost.
Andrew is. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Oh, I like the can.
All right.
Immediately.
Thank you very much.
Double black IPA. Excellent.
Good.
Yes, this one's by Dainton, also now a dead brewery. But what I wanted to bring you guys this time round was a black beer.
What a great crack.
Which I must say, I do love your intro music.
Oh, yeah? Oh, good. My brother made that for us. Very talented DJ and music producer. Well, don't call him a DJ. He's not a PT. He's a music producer. He's an accredited music producer.
What's his name?
Jas Manning is his music production name. His name is Jasper Richards, same last name as me. But I asked him to make music for us ages ago. And he's like, can you send me some of your beer cracks? I was like, yeah, I can do that. So I sent him some beer cracks, and then one day he's like, get in the car. I was like, oh, okay, what's happening? And then he turned the stereo on and played that. I was like, oh, amazing. So good.
Yeah.
It was great. So very
Well
happy.
done to him.
We feel very,
He's done a great job.
There's been levels to us leveling up the podcast.
Yep.
The first one was renaming the podcast from
Double A.
the
was
Double
it?
A podcast. So lazy.
Oh,
It was the laziest name ever. It was like, we tried. I remember
did try.
this was before ChatGPT was a thing as well. So we couldn't put it in there and find some names. It was, I don't know, what do our names start with? We also didn't know what we were going to talk about.
No, I don't think we still do. And then we got new mics.
We got new mics.
Yeah.
We went from the Blue Yeti sitting in the middle of an echoey room to, not the Blue Yeti, just a Yeti.
Just the Yeti.
It's a Blue Yeti.
I don't. You said it, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's a thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
See?
No, it's not.
Language, just powerful.
Yeah, powerful. The Yeti
Power of
mic.
suggestion there.
Yeah.
That thing was echoey, and we'd have different volumes. Now I see professional podcasts like The Imperfects and, I don't know, like Stephen Bartlett's one. They use the same mics as us, but theirs still sounds better. So I don't know what I'm missing now.
I think they have a team that does sound editing.
Yeah, they have like an actual qualified person that does the music, the sound production. Yeah, that's still me. Yeah, we haven't outsourced that bit yet.
Not yet. Maybe one day.
Anyway, how's the new beer, guys?
So this one's a black IPA. So you should get...
Yes, it is.
What's that?
Sure is.
A lot more malt with this one.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah.
I've
That's
never-
what the darkness is. Yeah,
Malt.
it's the malt.
Okay. And what makes the malt darker? Because there's malt.
How it's roasted.
Interesting. Okay. So like longer and like burnt?
So if you go to breweries, and they will often have, they'll talk about the hops that they use, but they'll also talk about the different malts. So where the malt comes from and stuff, but also how roasted the malt is will change the beer.
Interesting. And does that also make it more alcoholic, the malt?
I don't think so, but
Okay.
I wouldn't quote me on that.
Right. Because I feel like I rarely have a dark beer that is low in alcohol.
But you'll find you can get dark lagers. I mean, this is a double, so it's always going to be a bit higher.
Okay.
But you can get dark lagers, which are really tasty.
Yeah, okay.
As opposed to, your stouts and your porters and things like that are classically quite heavy beers.
Yeah,
both
okay.
like heavy in feel and in the alcohol content.
Sarah, as our resident beer expert on the podcast, are lagers coming back?
It depends on the brewery that you go to, but there's a lot of lagers I would drink now compared to lagers I formerly would not have bothered drinking.
Interesting.
Yeah, because lagers are the beer that is just really light, easy to drink, like a Corona and things like that. They're lagers. They're usually quite pale in colour and pretty low in flavour. Whereas breweries like Deeds and places like that were starting to play around with different lagers, and that's where something like a dark lager is really tasty, because they add all these different complexities to a really quite simple drink.
We might have to get some dark lagers or some like smaller breweries, some microbrewery lagers. Because, you know, my experience of lagers is, like Carlton and Hahn.
Great Northern.
Yeah, Great Northern, yeah. Byron Bay lager. So that's good.
Well, when I go for a wander on the weekend around Brookvale, I'll let you know where you might find a dark lager.
Oh yeah, I'm sure one of the 9 breweries there will have one. Sure, we can find a lager.
Gonna try them all.
Yeah. So, 2 things we want to cover on this part of the podcast. Firstly, breaking down the language of client-centered / patient-centered care, but also I wanted to ask you guys some questions around body language, but then also rebooking language as well, because once again, I feel very lucky to have people who've been rebooking people for 10 plus years in the room, and a lot of people listen to this podcast. No matter how long they've been in the industry, we're just not salespeople, and it's never, it doesn't always come naturally to people. So I think rebooking language is always a very, very helpful thing to go through, / rebooking mindset, and approaching that conversation with confidence when they do it. So we might start there.
Sure.
I'm trying to remember how we got to rebooking when we were talking about this yesterday.
We were talking about body language specifically at the start, and it was that from time to time I see our EPs come back into our reception area because we don't have admin where we are. We do all the rebooking ourselves, and they sit down, so they're then looking up at the client. Unless the client sits, there's chairs around the desk if they want to, but often they don't. And sometimes they might slump because they are tired at the end of the session, or that's just their sitting posture compared to when they're standing and they've got that, much more presentable, open posture where once you, if you slump a little bit, it just closes off your chest. There's one EP that I've worked with that has the habit of putting their elbow up on the desk and then their hand in front of their mouth. And you can't actually hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
So that obviously doesn't go well for the clients as well, because it's really dismissive. If I was to talk like that, you wouldn't hear me on this audio medium, which is great. But you wouldn't feel anywhere near as engaged in the conversation. It's the same as if you start to look down and things like that. I think the language that you use as well as the body language that you use when you're rebooking people is really important. So one of the things that we talk about is being clear with the client why they are rebooking. So what is going to happen in the next session? It's not just, I'll see you next week, but, I was really pleased with ... that we did in our session today. So if that's someone who, you've given them a program and they're going to go away and you're going to see them in, let's say, a month's time to review that again or whatever, then it's, all right, so I'm really keen to hear your progress on these few things that we've changed. So I'll be in touch to do that, via email, text, phone call, whatever that is. And then we'll review these other things at this time point. So it's really clear, rather than them walking away and being like, well, yeah, I know why I booked back in. And then by the time it gets to that next appointment, something's come up and it's no longer a priority because it's not fresh in their mind. So if it's someone where it is even a regular appointment, then it's still that case of, did really well today, we achieved and next week we're going to work on X, Y, Z, right? And even if sometimes they come in and it wasn't as good as we had these goals of we're going to do these things today, and you came in and this wasn't feeling right, and we actually spent most of the session talking and moving a bit. Acknowledge that and talk about what you want to achieve when you see them the next time, or the homework that they're going to keep up with to get to where they wanted to be. Like, how many times do you have a client who will ring up and go, I'm going to cancel that appointment because I haven't done my homework, so I don't see the point in coming back?
Yeah.
How do you tackle that one, Andrew?
My tackling that is that, well, if you haven't done the plan is wrong. And so instead of hoping things change, we actually need to come back and revise the plan so that it actually fits in better with what is going on with everything in your life right now.
That's beautiful. And it takes the guilt away from them as well.
It does, yeah.
Which no one wants
Absolutely.
to turn up like a sad wet dog, and going, oh no, I'm going to get scolded because I
and we always
didn't do
appreciate it when
the
clients
thing.
come in and say, look, I've got to be honest, I haven't done as much of any of whatever. That's fine. Let's actually figure out why and adjust the plan.
Yeah.
And again, like, my context here is also working as a PT for many years. And clients can often repeat that behavior several times before they get to us. They've joined up to gyms and then they haven't gone. They've joined up to PTs and they haven't gone. And so there's this cycle of them feeling guilty about, it's happened again. Like I said I was going to do it. I made this fucking New Year's resolution and it's happened again. And now I just feel shit. And like you said, actually just taking that guilt away from them is meeting them where they are. And then acknowledging, okay, well, look, it sounds like there's a lot going on. Let's discuss how we can make this sustainable for you.
Well, it sounds like we didn't have the systems in place to actually achieve that goal or that plan. Like, you can have a goal or a plan, but it's not going to happen if you don't actually have the systems and the routine in place.
And I think that's something that newer EPs, to be able to step back and say that the plan didn't work, that's confronting for them, right?
But there were pictures.
What do you mean?
I even put an RPE scale on it. How could I go wrong?
But being able to actually acknowledge that, all right, that plan, it might not be that there was anything wrong with the plan, but the plan didn't work, so why didn't it work?
Yeah.
And figuring out without guilt to the client and without guilt to the person who's prescribed it, like, maybe you have fucked up and you have completely aimed too high, own it, do it again.
Yeah.
But you may have prescribed to the best of your ability and the client hasn't told you all of these other barriers. And maybe they're not aware of them either.
Yeah.
But eventually, that is our job. And that's where our job has differed from an exercise prescriber to more into this lifestyle change scenario, is that we're pulling apart those little nuances towards how to build a better relationship with exercise, with movement.
Yeah. And that doesn't happen in one go. Like, you can't cover all of that in the initial. You can't go, great, and here's all of our assessments, and so here's the plan, and I'll send you the program, and so you have it all, and then you come back in a month's time, and you've done it 3 times a week because that's what I said you should do, and it's going to help, and there it all is. It's done, wrapped in a bow, go, bye. It's like, well, hold up. It's like there's probably going to be some trial and error over the next week.
Yeah.
Of, is this going to work for you? It's like, maybe we should start like spending over the next couple of days, see if you can fit in doing this one thing. It's like, can you start this routine of doing this one thing at this time of the day? And if they come back in 3 days, next week or whatever's time, and they go, I just couldn't even fit that thing in. And it's like, great, well, I'm glad I didn't prescribe you a 6 exercise, half-an-hour program to do at home.
That made you feel like absolute shit.
Yeah. It's like, well, at least the thing you didn't do was like one stretch once a day. And it's like, that's less bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You haven't like missed 5 pages of homework for the last 4 weeks. It's like, okay, right. So now we're only trying to work out, okay, when can we find time to do anything during the week rather than trying to find half an hour, 5 days a week. It's a little trial and error, little bits and pieces, and having the client and you understand that there is going to be a little bit of back and forth about making behavior change and changing the lifestyle in order to fit this stuff in, or finding ways or working out with them why it's valuable to make these changes. Well, that's probably something you should do. That should probably come into the rebooking conversation.
Yep.
Like, hey, the reason I want to see you next week is so we can reassess if this stuff that we tried worked. If it didn't, then we can change and find and address those barriers and find ways to work it in. If it did work, great, then we can build upon that, and I can add some more things in there that'll take you to the next, milestone or whatever. But if you get to the end of the session, go, great job. So
good luck with that.
Is Wednesday next week good? And it's like, for what? It's like, you haven't told me anything. So I love the idea of what everyone should be talking about, what the plan is in the next session before you then go, so when next week is a good time for you?
Yeah, and if you're building towards that towards the end of your session, then whether you're a business where there's reception people and you're kind of handing them off for that rebooking and payment and all of that sort of stuff, then it's just a quick see you next week when we're working on I'm really looking forward to X, whatever that is. Or if you're the one who's doing it, you're just reiterating those things. So that's the message they're going home with, is how I can work on this next thing and what they're actually paying you for. When people go to a hands-on practitioner, it's really clear. When they leave, they know how they feel and they know why they want to come back. Right? When they leave us, they feel sweaty, they feel sore. Sometimes they feel good, most of the time, but sometimes not so much.
Yeah, that's why our EPs, why our team rebooks their own sessions, right? And I prefer to do it in the consult room or in the space, just the two of us, so we can have the conversation. And we make, that first 5 minutes of the consult super important, and those last 5 minutes of the consult super important as well, because you're opening up the plan for that session and covering anything that's happened between the last times you've seen them. And then the last 5 minutes, you're kind of wrapping up what you did in the session and then talking about the plan going forward. Yeah. So the first 5 and the last 5, very, very important. And I think it's important that the practitioner does that, because you just can't expect a receptionist to do that for you. And if they have questions about but what am I going to do? Or is it okay if I reschedule for 2 weeks' time? I'm
actually going away and I've got this.
Is Archie going to be okay with that? And what's the receptionist supposed to say? That's...
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, sure. It's like, oh, sure, I don't care. It's like, whatever.
But I like the way that you you were describing how you break down that session. It reminds me, years ago, I heard someone explain how you write an essay to a high schooler, that it was the opening paragraph is you tell them what you're going to tell them.
Yeah.
You then tell them that thing. And then the last paragraph was you tell them what you told them.
Yeah.
And that's how our consult should be, is you tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them the thing, and then you recap what you've told them.
Is there a nice acronym for that? Like sexy paragraphs, you know, that you used to learn at school? I don't even know what it stands for, but...
I'll leave that to you to come up with.
Tell them what you're going to tell them, tell them the thing, and then tell them what you told them.
Yeah.
That would be great. That would be very helpful. So, yes, I guess that kind of gives some information on rebooking. In terms of mindset for rebooking, because that's kind of the language that you would use around it.
And I think as well, that's one of the issues, isn't it? Is rebooking is also at the point where payment is being given.
Yes.
And if you've got someone who feels awkward around that payment, like one of the things we were talking about yesterday is we have a high caps machine and we pass on the bank surcharge to the client, right? We don't absorb that surcharge. We did for a little while. It pissed me off. So we now pass it on.
We do.
Yeah, we absorb it.
Yeah, okay.
But I fucking see it as a line on our P&L, and I'm like, motherfuckers. Fuck you.
Yep, absolutely.
So, yes, we might
And
be
it's
going that way.
funny watching each of the different staff hand over that machine for someone to pay, and they're like, oh, and there's just a surcharge there, and oh, I'm sorry, there's just, if you could just accept the surcharge. Where I hand it over going, and that's the bank surcharge. Would you like to pay the bank surcharge? And we actually have at our pay station the option, people can bank transfer to us as long as they do it immediately. Right? You don't want to pay the surcharge? No worries. You don't want your credit card points? No worries. Just transfer the money. Right? Show us that it's transferred. We put it through. All good. Not a drama. Right? Because people, we also have the option, because of NDIS and everything else, that people will pay monthly anyway, in which case they're bank transferring anyway. It doesn't matter to us. We have the payment option because the clients wanted it. And then the clients get pissed off about paying a surcharge. It's not my surcharge. I didn't charge you that.
Yeah. You want to be able to tap immediately and you want to be able to claim from your healthcare card immediately.
Yep.
Well, there's a surcharge to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's such an, convenient process. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? Convenience costs.
It does. And just think about the way that you present that to the client. If you feel embarrassed about it, if you feel uncomfortable, they're going to feel that uncomfort. If you feel like it's not my problem, I didn't put this charge on here. This is what convenience costs you. Then they're just going to press the button and accept it.
Andrew, when you have practitioners or people talk to you about money, it's like, oh, but I feel bad about charging this person this amount of money for my session. Oh, it just feels yucky. It feels wrong. What kind of methods do you use to reframe the way they're thinking about it? Because it is a super common thing that people have huge imposter syndrome when they come out of uni, and they go, well, I want to work and I want to make money. Well, I mean, I guess I want to make money. I don't know. I'm in healthcare. Yeah. A job would be wonderful. Thank you. But I have to charge people. I don't think I want to go to private practice because I don't want to have to charge people. Do you have any methods for reframing that?
I'm going to put this back on you because I think you do this really well.
I want to.
How did you? I'll chip in at the end.
Okay.
How did you feel that same way when you came out of uni?
Absolutely.
Like, oh, geez,
Hugely.
I'm so sorry that I'm taking money from you. Yeah.
Yeah. Felt
Yeah.
horrible that I was charging money. I think something that really helped was separating my rebooking conversation with where payment was done. So I wouldn't have that as the same conversation. I want to go, so I'll see you next week and it'll cost this much. I'd have the conversation in the gym or in the consult room about rebooking, and would rebook them. And then we'd go, great, let's go on out and finish up the process. And if I was doing it myself, I would get the machine and whatever. We'd go through the Medicare or the private health or the process. I'd put the number in and I'd plonk it in front of them. If you add more weight to it by adding filler words and more words to it, then you just make it weird. But now I just don't do that. I just kind of go up to them and say a consult is $100. It's an arbitrary number. But I go up, I put the number into the thing. It's like, go, so that's just 100 for the day. And then you keep having a conversation with them and play on. You know? If you think twice, then they start thinking twice. But if you go, it's like, that's going to be $100 for the day. Is that okay? I hate the is that okay? Because people ask like, is that okay? It's like, well, it's too late. You've provided your value. Like, they have to pay before they go. So first thing is the language of the way you do it, which is like, you don't have to say dollars. You know, they know we're talking about a number. You don't have to say the word dollar or bucks. Don't say that.
Dollar bucks.
Dollar bucks. That's $100 bucks. Just say, that's 99 for the day. Great. Done that. Cool. In terms of the mindset, the way I talk to people about it now, in terms of other EPs, is talking about the value that you provide is not just about you in that session. You know, your time plus the work you do behind the scenes to write them a program or to communicate with them outside of that, plus the beautiful gym space you get to work in, plus the waiting area that they in the nice seats they get to sit in, plus the car park that they get to park in, plus the machine they get to tap their card on, and the nice people they get to talk to, and the ability to message you whenever they want or call you, and you will be able to answer them. And suddenly you go, oh, $100 isn't actually that bad for that amount of service over the next 3 weeks, is it? That if someone contacts you, you're not going to go, well, I'm not going to talk to you until 3 weeks' time when I see you. It's like, are you going to answer that question? Absolutely. So when you think about what's included, not to mention administration or, the other people in the business that need to be paid as well. For people like yourselves, the directors who have mentored you and provided the space and have built the business and created the referral networks and all this kind of stuff, they need to be paid their dues as well. This is all included into that consult price that you are paying, that your clients are paying. So when you say this costs $100, the whole thing costs $100. It's not just what you did in that half hour or an hour or whatever. Yeah. It's everything.
I think that's the thing that people find so confronting, isn't it? When they first come out, it's like, what do you mean it's 150? Like, what?
Yeah.
I'm not worth that. The service is.
Absolutely.
Everything that comes along with that service is worth the 100, is worth the whatever it is that it's being charged.
And then all you need to do as well is look at some local PT rates, or look at some local rates for hairdressers, or look at some local rates for fucking capsicums at Coles, It's like,
great reference.
You really think $100 is expensive?
It's like,
it's fucking not. And you've been at uni for 4 to 5 years to learn this stuff, and you think, I don't know anything, I'm just starting. It's like, you've been learning for 4 years. It's like, you know way more than the person in front of you. That's why they're here. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in front of you.
My bookkeeper once said to me that you will always be too expensive for some people and too cheap for others.
Perfect.
I like that.
And it was a different perspective, because I'd always felt like I was always going to be too expensive for some, and others it would be okay. But it never occurred to me that some people were going to look at it and go, you're cheap. Why are you cheap? Do you offer less?
Yeah.
Do you not value yourself? Like, why are you cheaper than the physio down the road?
I think about that when I buy pork ribs from Aldi. And when I buy any meat from Aldi, and I go, why are you cheap? What's going on here?
What have they done?
Why can I get...
Is this just filled with water?
Why can I get 2 kilos of mince for $10? What's going on?
Yeah.
You know, Coles and the butcher are charging $10 a kilo, and you're half the price. Why am I here? And I'm questioning myself. So people, pay that much. Half what they're thinking is, oh, wow, valuable.
Exactly. Yeah.
If they don't want to come and see you because it's too expensive, out of your control. Out of your control. If they understand the value that you provide and they understand the options that you have and the different options that you have, and you've provided, here is my best recommendation for you. This is what it looks like. And they go, well, I'd like to do that. What does it cost? You tell them what it costs.
Yep.
And if they go, oh, I can't do that, then you go, okay, here is the next best option. It's, blah, 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 blah. But this is going to require you to do more work outside of when I see you. How does that sit with you? Or do you think you'll be able to do that? It's like, yeah, well, I'll give it a go. It's like, okay, great. Well, let's give it a go for this long. And then when we come back in and reassess and we look at the plan, you can let me know how it's going. And then sometimes they'll come back and go, yeah, I didn't do it by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I need.
Maybe I do need to
I
invest
think I
in
know.
myself.
I think I need to watch me do it.
Yeah.
This is why I count your reps for you.
Yeah, 4 years of uni
Yeah,
just to
that's it.
count to
Count reps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard someone refer to us the other day as like a consultant or a coach. So, and we do a similar thing at Simply Stronger, that we have some people that'll work more independently. So we will build them the programs and they will do that themselves, and we continue to see them, give them feedback, all of that sort of stuff, change up the program at appropriate times, where others come to see us on a more regular basis and we do the work with them. And I thought that concept of consultant versus coach was quite a good way of seeing it in the way that you're describing there, that we have option A, where you can work with me and you can get all my skills and all our equipment and our facility and my knowledge and all of that sort of stuff on a daily, weekly, whatever basis, versus I will use those skills and I will build you a program, but you're going to do that on your own. And absolutely, there's going to be some people where that's what they want from the outset. Others where that's what they're choosing because of the financial side of it.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely fine. That's their choice to make. What we see, though, is we prejudge people coming in
Absolutely.
as to what they can afford, particularly if they come in on an EPC.
Yeah.
Right? It's the doctor's
absolutely.
only given them 3 sessions, so I've got to get everything done in 3 sessions. Like, no, exercise is ongoing.
Yeah.
This is just the first step to get them on that train. And when you can get the newer EPs to see that space of this is just the first step, and you need to talk in that language from the outset, that this is where we're beginning on your movement journey, not these, because 3 sessions don't do shit.
Yeah. No.
That's not going to fix anything.
Absolutely not. Yeah. When has 3 sessions of exercise fixed anything?
Oh,
Never.
I remember going to an ESSA conference years ago, and some dipshit out there presented his findings on doing 5 sessions in a row and how that actually made a difference. And you could just see the entire conference wanted to kill him. To be like, we've been arguing that this doesn't work and you are here trying to back up that it does? So what, did you review them in 12 months? Because guaranteed it didn't work.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Idiot. Wow. Did he get booed off the stage? Can you imagine?
Just cans straight at him as he tries to walk off.
Imagine presenting that at any conference for like any healthcare service ever. It's like, so why research has found that 5 sessions for Medicare is enough. Boo!
Go away.
Oh, yeah, all the new grads are like, yes, that means I don't need to ask them for money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those sessions, they're free, right? Fuck off.
Oh, shit. Yeah. For 15 minutes.
Yeah,
it is.
15-minute sessions. Absolutely. No problems.
Oh, dear.
We'll get a lot done. So what's your name?
No. Definitely not. The last thing I want to cover is we had a chat yesterday about the kind of the buzzword that everyone is no longer a thing because everyone is on the buzzword train of client-centered or patient-centered care. And when you see that on
That's a heavy sigh, Andrew.
when you see that on a website or you see that on a bio, it used to mean something. But it doesn't really anymore because it's just like, well, you have to write that. It's like writing individualized.
Yep.
Functional.
Yeah, functional. So we
Yep.
provide patient-centered, individualized, functional training. It's like, cool.
What is that?
That's so you.
I don't know what that is.
You do the thing. Great. But the phrase patient-centered care can I feel like needs a bit more nuance to it, because when we look at it in terms of like a balance, of like a seesaw kind of thing, and the idea of like patient-centered care originally, and what makes most sense in my brain is that there is like shared decision making, and we try to create autonomy in a client.
Which is what APs do, isn't
Exactly,
it? Like,
that's
we're
the
all
point.
about promoting this independence for people.
Because we know that like the changes that are going to have most benefit in terms of physical activity and movement can't just happen with us. It has to happen in the other 23 and a half hours of their day as well. So where I feel like this term has caused some problems, and we were talking about this, is where people then or clinicians sit back and go, well, patient-centered care is I just do whatever
what they want me to do.
whatever the patient
Yeah.
tells me they want to do, which what they want to do has often led them to where they are in the first place, which is seeing you.
Because it turns out what they want to do didn't work.
Yeah, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Which there's a little bit of a conundrum here because it has good morals and ethics.
Yeah, the sentiment behind it is definitely right. And what you're saying there about being able to take into consideration what the client wants, what they want to achieve, and how they want to do it, that's important. But where this came from was we were talking about how I'd been so staunch with my staff members to be really clear that it was patient-centered, that if they wanted to see you once a week, once a fortnight, once a month, you will build the program around what they want to do. And then they would present that to them without presenting any kind of professional opinion on what they maybe should be doing. So it was this space of let's go out and I'll build you that program. If you'd like to come and see me, you can see me in a week, you can see me in 2 weeks, you can see me in 6. And it's like, 6, that sounds cheaper. All right. I'll see you in 6 weeks. And then they don't come back because they've done nothing, because you haven't been able to actually set up what they needed to do. So we actually sat down and ran a whole in-service on this about being the professional in the room to be able to recalibrate that process and allow the staff to recognise that even when you are brand new as an EP, they're paying for your opinion. You have more knowledge on that topic than they do. So go ahead and share that knowledge. If you have an opinion that if you've done a really good subjective questioning, you've got a really good idea from this person whether they feel like they want more support from you or whether they feel like they can do this more independently. So you present your case for what you think is needed. And that's where client-centered care comes from, is being able to gather the appropriate information in the first place and present back to them what that is, you know.
I think there is a difference between clients knowing their own bodies better than you do and them knowing what is best for themselves all the time when it comes to your professional area. So them going, yes, you have a better understanding of how your back reacts in all these different situations and how it moves and what makes it feel better and what makes it feel worse. Great. This is really good information that I need to hear from you, and I need your opinion on this stuff. Great. Now I have an understanding of all this information. Here's what, and we've done our assessment and we've seen you move and we've done some experiments and that sort of thing. Here is my opinion of what I think would work best for you.
Yeah. This is the
think?
approach that I think is going to work best. We can, and often it's a case of, here's what I think is going to work best for you. We do have this option as well. What sounds good to you?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, they're going to turn around and agree with what you have just put forth because you've used the language that they've presented to you to put that back to them and say, this is how I think we should proceed. But I think we do often go too far with that client-centered approach to be, I have to do exactly what the client wants. And if what the client wanted worked from the outset, they wouldn't be here.
Yeah. It's like, so what do you think will work best, or what do you think you need to do to help your situation? It's like, oh, I don't know, like maybe just move a bit. It's like, great, cool. Yeah, well, you go do that. And then come see me in, well, I don't know, when do you want to come back?
Yeah.
It's like,
Do you want to come?
yeah. It's like, oh.
Yeah, do you? Do you want to come back?
I don't know. Well, what do you think? It's like, oh, well, you know, if you go and do that for amount of time, normally it takes things, 8 to 12 weeks to get better. So what do you think? It's like, well, I'll come see you in 8 weeks. It's like, yep, great. Perfect. All right, I'll see you in 8 weeks. Good luck with moving a bit. Also, it just costs $100. I hope that's okay. It's like, $100 for what? You haven't told me anything.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember years ago, one of my early employees had, she'd seen a guy once, maybe twice. And I was like, how's blah, blah, blah going? Oh, yeah, he's done. I discharged him. I'm like, twice?
Incredible.
That's amazing. Like,
Magic.
What did you do? Oh, he just wanted a program to improve his golf game. Like,
Fuck yeah.
great.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
How are you going to know it worked? Oh, I didn't think of that. Maybe ask the question. And she never saw the guy again. And not that it always comes back to the business perspective, because it doesn't, but from a business perspective, you can't just keep recruiting people in that you're going to see once or twice and send them on their way. That doesn't work. But it also doesn't build a good reputation for you if you are just sending people on their way with a program that you presume is going to be amazing, that it's going to tick all the boxes straight off the bat.
You need to, at a minimum, with anything, to know if it works, you need to test and retest. Or at least
You've got to be able to refine it, don't
at least
you?
at minimum, here's some feedback of how did it go?
Yeah.
And if you don't, then how the fuck are you going to know? You're just living in the unknown. That how do you know what you're doing is working at all? If you're going, no, but I gave them all the information. We went through the education.
And of course, they took all of that
exactly. And the movement experiment went amazing. They squatted one way and it hurt. And then I gave them a bit of technique advice. / told them to think about something else, and it didn't hurt. Magic. And so then they're better. And it's like, well, how do you know they're going to keep squatting. Like,
Are they going to continue to squat?
yeah. Because you showed them once. It's like, I think the easiest way to think about it with these conversations is, how long does it take for a habit to form? And we don't have a good answer. There's atomic habits will tell you one thing, and other people will tell you it takes 6 days and 10,000 hours to become. I don't know, all these kind of fucking, I don't know. None of them say try it once and then you're good. None of them say that.
Yeah, they're consistent with that. Yeah.
Consistently, all of the stuff we have says you don't try it once and you're good.
Yeah.
That's rare. If you have a person who, everyone's had a person who they've had come in, and you give them something to do at home, and you see them whenever, and they've done it perfectly, perfectly to the T, gone above and beyond, and you go, oh, wow. I wasn't expecting you to form a habit so quickly.
Yeah.
It's like, no one's expecting
You
it
were
to-
primed for this.
Yeah. It's like, this is amazing. It's like, what? And everyone thinks, why can't all of my clients be like this?
Yep.
It's like, okay, if you're thinking, why can't all of my clients be like this? Then that should tell you that your clients aren't like that most of the time, which means you shouldn't be prescribing or doing that as the hope all the time. Then you should be not treating people that, hey, well, it worked for one person, therefore this is how I always do it then.
Yeah. Nailed it.
Most people aren't like that.
Yeah. Because it's not me. It's them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Going back to your original statement that client-centered approach, I think we can swing too far in and lose our professionalism in that. We're still being paid for our opinion and for the knowledge that we have gained and the experience that we have gained. It's not just about prescribing exercise. It's not just about enhancing people's relationship with movement. It's about being able to share that knowledge so that they can feel better in themselves.
Absolutely. And then, there's the other end of the scale where you should not be having someone come in and then just talking at them for 80% of your consult. Also very unhelpful, because they're only going to remember 20% of that, and they're also going to hate you. So that's
spoilers.
Yeah,
They're not
it's
coming
like-
back.
Exactly. Yeah. So there is a balance there.
Yeah. Because you can't just sit there and tell them, like, here's all the research as to why what you're doing is wrong. Right? You need to be the educated professional in the room who sits there and figures out, all right, they are at point A. I want to get them to point B, but there has to be this graded step in between.
Yeah.
Let's try for this step. All right, that didn't work. We're going to backtrack a little. And your skill set is being able to figure out how to do that backtracking and how to do those little nuances to get them to where we want them to be.
And keep them on board along that journey as well.
Yeah, engaged.
And have them understand why that is something that they want to do. Or create that motivation so they know why they want to do that. It's one thing to tell someone that you should do this, and I think this is where you should be. It's like, okay, it's, kind of motivating for some people to be told, you need to be able to do this. But what's, more motivating and more sustainable is someone understanding why I need to be able to do this, or I want to be able to do this. And then, okay, cool. So now that you want to be able to do this thing, let me help you provide the steps to get there. A lot better. Yes.
I'm going to give the perspective of a parent here now.
Oh, interesting.
My son started playing AFL.
Is he the good one or the bad one?
He's the right one.
He's
the good one.
He's a good one.
Right. He started playing it and he hated it. Right? We would go to training and he'd cry and he'd kind of sit on the sidelines and he would kind of hold on to the arm and he's like, oh, I really don't want to do it. And then we persisted and we persisted and we persisted, and now he fucking loves it. And he's there, like ready to go, uniform on. I'm out the door.
Interesting.
We have to be able to, like to your point before, we have to be able to understand what the end goal is. And we don't just give up because somebody says, oh, this is too hard. Oh, I don't like this. Or this plan didn't work. It's like, okay, well, we rework it and rework it. And I know personally, that it took a long time to develop a positive relationship with exercise, where it was fun, where it was social, where it was like, I feel like I'm getting something out of this. And to go full circle on this conversation, I feel like that's the role of an exercise physiologist. It's to help people create a positive connection with exercise. And you can't fucking do that in one session.
No.
Because there is no way that if you don't do that, that people will be able to continue with it independently if that is what they actually want in the first place. So I think being a parent for me has actually like helped refine this. It's like it can be uncomfortable before it gets comfortable.
Yeah.
Like it's okay if we have to go back and revisit things again and again because we know what it looks like. And I'm willing now, and this is maybe going to the rebooking conversation, I'm willing now to be a bit firmer with people. It's like, look, this is where you are. We need to get here. I'm here to support you.
Yeah.
But like, there's only so much I can do in the 1 hour a week that I see you because there's like a bazillion other hours in between now and next week. So we need to find a way that I can hold you accountable to the goals that you want to achieve. Because I see our role as EP is more on a coach than a prescriber. It's more on a, I want to help you achieve what you want to achieve. So having a conversation around what is the best way for me to hold you accountable to your goals or to the actions that are going to lead to your goals is a very vulnerable but positive conversation to have with people. And it kind of acknowledges the fact that there are going to be some bumps along the way. But I'm not going to give up on you. Like, I am here for you for the long term. And if that means we have to revisit things, fine. I don't have a problem with that. I can take my ego and put it over here and go like my AI written prescription of exercise maybe needs to be rewritten because it didn't work for you, and that's perfectly fine. So, like, for the people that have made it to this point in the podcast, it's okay if you fuck up the first go. People don't expect you to have it right the first go. They expect you to be there with them on the journey. And that goes to rebooking, that goes to patients. I don't know what that term means, but like patient-centered care, in that understanding where people are at. And there's a good analogy there around like new grads, right? Talking about rebooking to new grads, it's fucking like, what are you talking about? I have to rebook people. So we give them scripts to use. Say this, use these words. And then once you've said them a million times, you'll find your own words and that will be comfortable. But we kind of have to get to that point. We have to realize that people just need a framework to start with. And then if you do it enough times, they will get used to it and they'll find their own words to do it. I think that goes to clients as well. Clients, we have to tell people what they need to do. We can't just, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. Uni said I should ask you. Like, well, they don't know the fucking answer. They don't know the answer. And the reason that we know that is because they're fucking sitting opposite you.
Yeah. Spoilers,
And that's
you're
not-
the professional in the room.
Right, exactly right. And that's okay. And you can do that. If people are sitting opposite you going, I don't know why I'm here. How did I get diabetes? Like, well, I can give you a few answers to that question, but I know the way out of it. Or I know a path that's going to lead you to leading a more healthy life. Let's work towards that. This is what I think the first step should be. how do you feel about this? And in that situation where people have no idea, we can tell them, or we can be more direct with them. Whereas the people that come in and go, hey, like, I've had this thing, I've had my slip disc, it went over there, and I picked it up and popped it back in. I've tried these few things. I've found this one works a bit more than this one. I want to get back to this, but I'm not quite sure what to do. Like, our approach differs. Our approach goes, okay, well, it's great that you've tried that. I've learned what you've tried. So I think you have a degree of independence that I could give you a program, and you probably have the resources to be able to implement that independently. Mm-hmm. And I think this is the problem that I have with this evidence-based, patient-centered, not evidence-based. Sorry, scrap that. If you edit this, Archie, if you edit this, you can edit that out.
I will not edit.
That's fine. Is that we try and apply a one-size-fits-all approach. Like, I must be patient-centered to everyone, and this is what it looks like. Patient-centered looks different to different people. And if people come in with no idea, we should be more direct, and we should say this is what it needs to look like. Whereas if people come in and they have more background, experience, knowledge, patient-centered looks different to that. And we need to tailor our approach of what patient-centered care actually looks like for an individual. Last point is that, like, now I'm a golf fan, and I know this is a very overused analogy, but like, Tiger Woods has got a coach.
Yep.
Rory McIlroy has a coach. They didn't just win a tournament and go, sweet, cool, I know everything. There's always ways to improve. And I think to the value of an EP, it's like, what are your goals? Have your goals changed? Are we making meaningful steps towards those goals? And that gives us the opportunity to refine the program and to refine the interaction that we want to have with people, and not just say, oh, quick, like 2 sessions, done.
Nailed it.
Fixed you. See you later.
Yep.
It's like, well, that's not patient-centered because you haven't actually
You've
taken...
not achieved. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And to your point there, the purpose of the coach is to be able to see from a different perspective. You know, like, I go into the gym and I lift heavy things, and that's great, but it's so much better when someone watches me and gives cues and tips on my technique and how I do that. And that's part of our role. But that other perspective, how many times have you had a client that, you know, Andrew, when you stopped seeing clients, and one of the things that you knew was going to be brilliant was that they were going to be seen by another EP who was going to see things differently. They were going to hit things from a different perspective. And we know this when we step back, and we know this when we go on holidays, or when, you know, there's staffing changes or roster changes or whatever else that happens, and you have that varied perspective. And that's brilliant. And that's what you as an EP are bringing to that conversation, is an outside perspective, this outside view of maybe this is why that hasn't worked for you so far. How about we try this approach instead?
Very good. Well done to the both of you. You both wrapped it up so
Excellent.
beautifully. I'm going to add nothing.
Excellent.
Thank you for coming back.
My pleasure.
This was
I hope you enjoyed the beers.
very great
I
beer.
think you did.
Yeah? Yeah, so definitely the dark one.
Yeah.
Goza less so.
All right. Well, I think Andrew needs to go to the bathroom. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for coming back, Sarah. And goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.